Okay, so is it working? Okay, probably should share it somewhere. No. Yeah. Share it to Twitter. Cancel. Let me open in a new tab. Yeah, it's got some delay. It's nice. Okay, so it's actually working, which is pretty fun. Uh, okay, so this is supposed to be that idea Nick Land talked about like centuries ago about a podcast, but it's just me talking babbling about bullshit for an hour. I don't know if it's going to last an hour, but I mean, you can add me on Twitter, I guess. Uh, oh, Windows wants to update now. I'm not gonna let it. Um, and you can type in here on the top chat, I guess, and we'll see where this goes. People ask me about my World Cup takes, but I'm not gonna talk about World Cup. I mean, except to say like I'm baffled that teams like Egypt and Iceland are playing. Like, how do people actually get to train in Iceland? You have heaters on the grass or something, or do they just don't use the grass? Whatever. I'm not sure about the quality of audio or camera. Uh, and supposedly I'm doing this in English, so uh, it's funny because I get a fucking crown for streaming live, which is a little fucked. So supposedly I was going to have a really big realization of life and everything. Well, I did this, but no. As you can see, I'm really thirsty. It's fucking 9 a.m. here, and it's around 14 degrees. And this is actually pretty weird. So I guess this is going to be on record later, um, and I'm actually getting to keep it there. Uh, well, anyway, the second. Okay. Uh, so I'm just gonna stand here and do what I usually do when I'm home alone doing nothing, which is through Twitter and see what's going on until I came into the come into the realization of what I want to talk about. Yeah, I have become an early bird after I moved in with my girlfriend. So I mean, I wake up by this time. I actually wake up at 6 a.m. every day. So on Saturday, I usually wake up like 8 or 9. But uh, when you go to sleep early, it's like you can't stay in bed much longer. And I went to bed like 10 a.m., 10 p.m. last night. So I already went out today. So I bought some cereal at the local market. So that's mostly that. I'm actually baffled that the timeline is very little about World Cup because in Brazil it's such a major thing. Like Brazil plays tomorrow, and you know it's pretty obvious that people are going to do nothing at that time. Supermarkets close to watch the game. Actually, I'm not gonna work on the days that on the weekdays that have game and that like. So I'm actually really interested that nobody even commented on the World Cup. I mean, I guess for most people in America, it's probably not really a great of a deal because nobody fucking plays soccer. But in Europe, it's supposed to be larger, right? Bigger, uh, and there's a whole bunch of weird teams playing this year. I was having lunch yesterday, and there was the game I was playing was Iran versus Morocco. Like Brazilian chances. I don't know. I don't even follow that. I have absolutely no idea at all uh, about even what the team is or who's the trainer or no idea. I think we probably gonna get to the finals. I mean, to the playoffs, but I don't think we're going very far on that count. I mean, I think European teams have way better teams, but I don't know. So yeah, about that. Does anybody know what this account or Archilect is about? I mean, I guess I read something about it once, but it actually really pulls some nice content. Yes, kudos to you. Yeah. I'm gonna switch to Portuguese for a while. Uh, Wholesome. Parabéns, parabéns. Não existe, literalmente não existe nada melhor no Brasil do que ser funça. Infelizmente é a nossa herança cultural e way to go, Carl. O Marco já deve ter contado para metade do grupo, né? Vocês postaram no Gulag. Yeah, that happens. I didn't used to go so much more on Facebook anymore. Yeah, but I guess I'm gonna have to check it out. Yeah, not much there. Okay, Windows is being a bitch. Damn. Yeah, it's nice. You get an email from that runs. It actually runs on Microsoft. Yeah, you have become someone with a big salary. Congrats on that. And enjoy little work. Uh, but yeah, most of these emails actually run off Google Cloud or Microsoft mostly. I have this weird realization that Microsoft actually runs most of the software in basically all of Brazil's government, which makes it accounts for a large part of of how fucked up it is. Like, who runs Windows on? Why? So I'm supposing that this wall, yeah, my girlfriend made it. It's make fala fita isolante. It's nice. So see you. So I was guessing that by this time it was like at mid afternoon in the UK, so there will be more people around. But I guess since a lot of people live in America, the West Coast only wakes up in like at least 4 hours, right? Like it's 9 a.m. here. It's 5 a.m. there. Yeah, they're waking up if they wake up early. Uh, I've came to the realization that most people in America actually wake up pretty fucking late. Like I'm used to getting up at 6 a.m. like since I was, I don't know, since I went to school, and I'm told that people usually get to work only at 10 or something like that outside of here. So I'm like, why? Anyway, yeah, I should have come with a script or something if I was going to talk about something, right? I should have come with uh, at least a topic to talk about. I was tweeting last night on the supposed topic of this, which is, mostly, I don't know. I have a tendency to not consider my philosophy takes very seriously. uh, at least not live. So about that. Yeah, not sure. It's telling me here there's 2 people watching. So if you want to come up with some topics, 3 now. I had a really tough time trying. I was actually going to stream from my phone, and but it didn't let me. Like I couldn't do anything else on the phone if I was going to stream. So pretty fucked. And at least on the computer, I can do stuff. the plus signs. Yeah, no, it's actually, meant to be an aesthetic thing. It's, a grid. You should be seeing the lines too, even though they're not there. But I like staring at it and trying to find patterns. Like, for example, this line here, it goes up there and it's a little positive feedback. Yeah, no, positive feedback is my tattoo. But yeah, cyber positive in a way. It's a little warped, because she actually marked the points pretty straight, but when you go putting the tapes, it really gets a little out of hand. So there's this slight curvature in this stuff, which is actually makes up for nice images, I guess. I was going to stream from my sofa, but I don't know. I've got this thing charging here, and the battery is actually pretty fucked up. It's charging, so I'm strapped here for a while. People said that when someone from the internet actually materializes a face, it's not so impressive. I don't know. I usually get surprised. I actually made a tour of sorts in 2015 and 2016 around Brazil to meet people from Facebook, and the voices are really never quite what you're expecting. Even if you have, like, on Facebook, most everyone has a profile picture. So even if you have a good understanding of what their face is like, the voices are never what you expect. The way that people talk is never what you expect. It's really funny. So I'm guessing that meeting an avatar, it's even, even weirder. But thanks, Max, for sharing that. I completely forgot of doing that. So apparently, Elon Musk is Douglas Adams plus. Oh, okay, patchwork. Yeah. Thomas came with a rather interesting take the other day. It was. He has been a little salty later over the whole thing. Uh, but yeah, the point he made is a little interesting. That if you think of patchwork as a future model for what's coming about, it's probably, I don't know. I think that the whole blueprint in modebug stacks are rather uh, idealized. It's an engineering blueprint. Is like, oh, imagine tens of thousands of sovereign corporations run for profit. That's probably not gonna happen if you ask me. Uh, but I mean, you might have a couple dozen that are run for profit, and a whole plethora of others that are run in completely different, unpredictable ways. So I think that patchwork helps formalize maybe uh, what's the usual case of geopolitical fragmentation. So you can actually understand how, many small kingdoms in medieval Europe became like major nation states that they are now, and then how that could possibly fragment. Like, I mean, these little kingdoms came into being in a specific way. I like Weber actually has a pretty interesting work on late antiquity, of how the farmers from the Roman Empire, as the empire was cracking around, they started, actually taking in people and saying, well, if you work for me, I'll parcel out this much, and you have this and that rights. And that's more or less how feudalism emerged. And it's, I mean, I think that there's at least two timelines running in the world right now. One is, I believe, centered in the Pacific, and that's, you know, it's hard to tell. I mean, I don't see China undergoing this process of fragmentation, uh, and I think it's actually trying to reverse most of the fragmentation it's undergone so far, like special economic zones and everything. But I don't think it's going to reverse either. So around the Pacific, it's going to be the most experimentation in new ways of fragmentation. But for Europe, or I don't know, other places, I mean, as soon as the United States get out of the picture, as one big thing, like instead of many small things, uh, and that's the specifics of that, it's going to get a little tangled. But I think that a similar process could happen in Europe, or some places in Africa, or even in South America, I guess. Uh, while, of course, what I've been wondering the other day is how much of an industrial feudalism you could have, because there will be industry and there will be technology elsewhere. So you could have the usual social process of feudalism coming into being at the same time that industrialization didn't go away. So you could have a a retro modernity or something like that. This twisted and tangled timelines. But yeah, I don't know if you're sticking to mode books text. It's mostly uh, is mostly a blueprint. Uh, it'll be interesting to see if I'm actually wondering if none of these like top tier capitalists of the day, like Elon Musk or Peter Thiel, haven't read like at least Patchwork. I mean, they know Patrick Friedman. I mean, and Patchwork is pretty close. So I mean, they could, I don't know, try and start a sovereign corporation with some cryptographic republic or something like that. I wonder what Urbit is doing in that direction too. It's something, an interesting development coming up there. But yeah, I would have to agree with Thomas that it's rather idealized as it is in the text. All right, I don't know if people do pauses in live, like commercials or stuff. Uh, so I'm not sure how I do that. So I'm just gonna mute myself. So, welcome back. uh, damn, it's really pretty damn cold here. Let's get warmer. Yeah, some things are happening. Okay, so there's this tweet from John von Sinandon. Synanon? I never read his name aloud. Paradise Late is the handle. So, school teacher says, frigid. No, São Paulo is. I mean, the problem here is we don't have central heating in houses because I mean, who the fuck wants that? So when it gets a little colder, all you have is colds. But I'm not wearing a lot of stuff. I mean, it's a shirt and one coat. So I mean, it's 14 Celsius. It's not freezing. Uh, I was gonna read this tweet, so if you don't mind. So school teacher said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And the girl answers, "A slime girl." Well, I don't think you understood the question. And she says, "I don't think you understood capitalism, which is all about producing slime girls." Same tweet. So Cocky Duty just posted about a World War II movie called Furry. And I haven't watched that movie. I don't remember how crappy it is, but I know it's referenced in the Netflix show, 13 Reasons Why, because I was watching this the other day. So, about that. I don't know. It's a pretty interesting series, but I don't know. I always was like a little bit enthralled by teenage drama because of how it's a toy problem for society, but at the same time, it's so much bullshit. Like, but I don't know. They managed to change that into a thriller or something. Uh, so a wide web from furry. Let me research furry. It's in German. Hört aus Stahl is the name, I guess. Or that's 2014 movie with Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf. Yeah, I have seen Stranger Things. I've seen the first season. I've watched like halfway through the second season, but it wasn't as interesting. Uh, I mean, it's the utmost product of Netflix algorithm. It's just like, well, everyone wants to watch something that's set on the 80s with a little bit of alien freakage and about that. And I don't know. I liked it a lot. The first season is really you know, you get really involved. The second season, it felt like they were rehashing this a little. I was expecting more of the second season of Sense8, but I haven't watched that yet. After they announced that it would be canceled, so I guess one of the reasons it was canceled, possibly. Furry. It's Yeah, I thought this was an older movie. It's like, yeah, I guess Fury versus Furry. Excuse the Brazilian pronunciation issues. So what's up in the world besides the World Cup? Oh yeah, yeah. After I actually have to agree with Pandro that it's going to amount to nothing. I guess I'm not discussing soccer anymore. Okay, if that's okay with people. Uh, but about the meeting Kim Jong Un, and eh, I don't know. I guess it's going to be a whole lot of nothing, but it serves to promote both sides. Like both of them are very likely to enjoy the ride for the next few years, and then just forget that it ever happened afterwards. But I was seeing a thread the other day that there is a documentary that was made about the meeting, and that is being aired in North Korea, and it's and it's a little different from what it usually is, because we show Singapore, it shows a lot of things that are in Singapore and that aren't in North Korea, which is quite of a big deal, I guess. And if that's the stunt of promotion that Kim is trying to push forward, is going to be some opening experience. Yeah, because I mean, the one option is North Korea's go the China way, and makes a market opening, and you know remains a separate nation, but industrializes, and becomes capitalist in the communist way. Uh, but the other way around is like Kim uses this to just keep running stuff as usual. Everything goes to shit as has been going for how much? Like 60 years? And everyone that's cheering now is gonna get a burn. Yeah, the communist Windsors. I mean, I don't think any other communist country had like the you know the hereditary line like North Korea, right? It's the grandfather, the father, the son, which is I mean, imagine if Stalin's son had inherited Russia. That would be pretty weird. Or I don't know, Mao-san. But I don't know. Maybe Kim is like the Mao-san. I haven't seen him. Is there a picture? Let me see. How old is this guy? Mao Anning. Is that his name? Ah, the grandson. What's his name? But yeah, it's pretty, reactionary of North Korea. He has a hairline, so you could pretty easily become, a kingdom if you wanted. You used to be a kingdom before the war, right? Uh, and it'd be pretty interesting. So it's Mouse Benson. Yeah, very chubby. Yeah, I think that a lot of people in the high echelons of North Korea are probably, trying to, they have been trying to, you know, kill the Kim line for a while now. Uh, and that probably explains why they are, very Stalinist when it comes to uh, personal security and murdering a lot of comrades. But yeah, I think that I mean there's an easy way out, and it's not so easy because it doesn't fit to the narrative, right? If they just became a kingdom out of nowhere, like we're the communist kingdom of Kim Jong Un. Oh, hi there. Yeah, yeah, they kind of are in a certain way. I mean, they could be regarded as a kingdom and everything, but I mean, the stuff is about the I forgot the name, the term. Hey there, Amy. uh, eu vou ter que procurar isso. Shelling point, right? Is the name. So the stuff is about having a shelling point on which people can come together. So I mean, right now the current narrative in North Korea wouldn't allow them to become, for example, kings or something like that. If there's a way out, it's probably through this market opening and becoming a republic or something like that. You know, allowing for elections or something, which wouldn't be. I mean, the Singapore way was basically, we hold elections, we are elected at the time, uh, which is one way out. Uh, but I mean, not if you want to establish a bloodline or something. Um, but I mean, bloodlines tend to fail in general. I mean, when you reach the grandson, it's already. Uh, uh, it hit me really hard when I was, reading about the Ottoman Empire, and the greatest emperor was, Solomon the Great was the guy that did the siege to Vienna, and this guy, I mean, his sons were bad, his grandsons were even worse, and by the time, by the 18th century, the Ottoman Empire had, simply unraveled in what's the beginning of what we see in Middle East today. So bloodlines probably not a good idea. So I guess we increased a little bit the number of viewers here. If you want to bring anything up, well, I guess some water. So those were the news before the World Cup, right? I like how every week we have a new cycle of news and new stuff coming out. Uh, Makes up fine for my theory of time compression, but I think that I thought that by this time would be around daily news cycles, sub daily maybe. So I'm told. Yeah, I have this one post called Dinner Time, and basically I had just read Land's implosion post about cities being compressor machines that uh, make stuff faster and does smaller, and he was drawing a lot from John Smart, and I started reading that afterwards. Um, but it's here. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty. My idea is that as news cycles are we're going to get compressed worldwide. So instead of having a news cycle every month or so, we're starting having every week or so, and then every day, and then every hour or something, and then things would be happening way faster. But I mean, it gives. Maybe I was being a little naive back then. It's from 2016, I guess. Since I don't know, 2017 was a pretty uneventful year. Yeah, when they outrun the human perception, yeah, that's pretty interesting. I guess all we would hear would be some buzzing noise or something like that. I don't know, having uh, human perception shattered like that. Pretty interesting. Yeah, it's like buzzing, like an endless stream of you just got a message from your phone, so just endless stream of that. uh, I haven't been following the Syria business, but I mean, I was thinking the other day that it's been like almost 10 years that they've been at war. I mean, how much wreckage can you keep on doing? I mean, at some point, everyone has fled or died, or just doesn't want to keep on fighting. Why? What is even there to fight over anymore? But coming back to the time perception thing, it actually got me wondering. Uh, because I don't know the yeah, decreasing time. I have a shorter attention span than I used to have now, but in no way it's close to Generation Z's abilities. I mean, I watch kids playing with phones, and it's like eerie. Uh, yeah, those are all very good questions. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think some kind of prosthetics would have to happen. One thing that I've been thinking lately is that a lot of psychedelics haven't been put to functional use. It's basically just uh, I don't know. I know that some people in Silicon Valley do microdosing of LSD every once in a while, but I mean, there's a lot of potentials for that you could, yeah, that you could have, feeding psychedelics to people. Like, I mean, right now people are being given like prescribed. A lot of people have depression, anxiety, and they have get some sort of medicine from that. And uh, imagine if instead of that, you get prescribed psychedelics or DMT or LSD or something like that. It could be an adaptation because I mean your mind starts working pretty faster. So yeah, Stone Day theory. That's the best theory I came up with, and I was like, yes, but to keep up with capitalism, yes, something like something like that is partly like a kaleidoscopic vision of news and stuff happening and instant responses to stuff happening. That's one of the most yeah, the most interesting results will probably be like you automate the whole chain of reactions, so you don't have even to play that, so nothing actually happens. It just happens in a virtuality, or like you're imagining it. It just plays in your head, and then nothing actually ever happens. It's just a constant simulation, you know, inside the cityscape. Which I mean, the John Smart's theory was basically that. The environment outside of the city becomes so boring. It's just like statistically predictable. It's a normal distribution. Things happen then and there, but inside the city, unpredictability raises exponentially. So it, the simulation becomes ever more self-interested. Yeah, his explanation for the Fermi paradox was that it collapses under itself under a black hole actually, and no sign, no signal ever comes out because they don't want to talk. They're too busy in there automating the big chain of reactions. Yeah, it's just like you try to actualize all the virtual possibilities. Yeah, like for example, Area 51 becomes more its lore than Area 51. I mean, whatever Area 51 actually is, it's now the lore that has developed around it. The Roswell cases and stuff like that. Alien invasions. Actually, alien invasion theory. John Smart. Yeah, his name is actually John Smart. I translated his name, and it's actually pretty funny in Portuguese. So, João Esperto. The site is accelerating.org. The names are great. Yeah, I mean, his aesthetics is, I don't know, he's smart, but it's not very beautiful. Uh, yeah, the aesthetics is just awful. The whole thing. Yeah, I don't quite get it. I mean, they need to be coupled with people that have better aesthetics. Someone that actually has some sense of art. But I don't know. I guess nerds have a specific aesthetics of theirs, which is kind of retro now, and that actually, you know, in the early 2000s, that was, Big Bang Theory aesthetics was in vogue. Yeah, I mean, fucking nerds. Yeah, I don't imagine like it's not even a Bronze Age pervert, but it's Space Age pervert. Would be interesting. Yeah, I get the how do you pronounce his name? Is China Mielville? I have no idea. Sheena. But yeah, he's pretty trendy. Because I mean, if you're reading in English, it's China Mialvo or something like that. But if I'm supposing he's French, right? So it's probably something like China Mieville. Ah, he's British. Okay, I thought he was French. Yeah, something like that. Sinomiel. Neil Stephenson. I need to read his fucking novels. It's. I mean, I have been hearing of these stuff since I was, a mere libertarian. uh, and they are, pretty batshit insane by the descriptions I read. So I probably should read him. Yeah, Alan Turing is really. It wasn't your average nerd type. Yeah, I heard that it's. I mean, it's supposed to be a libertarian dystopia, right? Something like, or am I mixing it up? His are. Diamond Age and Snow Crash, right? Because I guess I'm mixing it up with The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, which is by another writer. I forgot his name. Highlight. Yeah, that's a libertarian dystopia, right? It's a utopia. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I unfortunately have read very little fiction, which is kind of fucked. Everyone's real macho on the moon. Great description. Yeah, Diamond Age. I forgot the premise. Let me wiki it here. I think people should make movies of all these fucking books. Is it hard to get a EPUB of it? I don't think so, right? The Gen, the Diamond Age. Probably already have it because I've been sucking content from the internet for about 5 years now and dropping into a Google Drive. So probably a lot of this stuff is already there. But yeah, let me. Is there a premise, or is just like a story in a future world? Nanotechnology, okay. So it's Grey Goo played out. Mm, very patchworky then. Yeah, files. Okay, I remember that discussion. It became a post on Xenosystems, right? I hope that's how you pronounce it, like a file, right? Yeah. The official. Um, okay. Oh no, it's actually his discussion of feeds, and he goes to files, and yeah, it's probably not on Xenosystems. The discussion uh, with Peter Wolfendale, right? It's probably on Urban Future. There's another one that he discussed about, ethnicity and musical styles. That one was really interesting. You know, yeah, yeah, 2014. Let me see here. 2014 was a pretty interesting year. Wolfendale versus Urban Future. Yeah, it goes far, but this is not the one about, uh, you know, uh, musical styles and stuff, right? Yeah, Twitter is broken in general. Oh yeah, with Robin. Yeah, I mix it up. So the one with Wolfendale is this one. Yeah, stereotypes. But anybody knows of good electronic Chinese music? I like the minimalist aesthetics. Oh, okay. Diamond Age. It's downloading right now. Has Android uh, an EPUB reader native already? You should. Yeah, there's stereotypes posts there. There's been many of them. Howie Lee. Yeah, I remember that. Uh, Actually, Robin drops a pretty huge side of that. Tutsin. Yeah, are Chinese names usually in pinyin or not? Because I keep being confused by that because I know more or less how to read pinyin, but I don't do the other romanization, so it's really weird when I like, for example, Yijing is the game. It's Yijing, not Yijing. But I'm not sure if Chinese names are usually that. Yeah, I need to have this on my bookmarks. Jesus fucking Christ! So many comments. This is the post on stereotypes. And Daijin. Let's see. He's a weird fella. Jesus. Anyway, she's a girl. Oh, sorry. Did you just assume my gender? Yeah, maybe it's maybe long uh, time horizons actually do for pretty shitty aesthetics. You know, you actually have to be worried about the now to be someone that cares about your looks. So a whole theory about time preference versus aesthetics. I think Hans Hermann Hoppe would love that theory. Yeah. So it's yeah. Yeah, but I mean, the name of the guy is a Bronze Age pervert. I don't know what threads were expecting of him. Really, it's. But yeah, low time preference is certainly inbuilt to the Bronze Age mindset, I guess. The household with Pateo. Again, I don't know how the names are pronounced in general. I pronounce them in a way in my head. So, quick break. Okay, I forgot to unmute or to mute myself actually. What's been going on here? Yeah, I mean, the easiest way of dismissing scarcity is, you know, either assuming that everything overflows or being somewhat someone that consumes little. There's basically that. Yeah, yeah. I know nothing about the Bronze Age pervert, really. So whatever you tell me. Okay. But yeah, one of the reasons I've been into uh, meaning to read the Thirst for Annihilation is to get a better look at Mateo, and I think that a lot of there's two things there, right? One is the overflowing, the excess, and which is the basis of positive feedback. And the other thing is just burning the world down. Which is a different view of positive feedback, as something that's necessarily short-lived and that burns itself out. And maybe because the whole idea in lands, I forget, I guess it's circuitries, is that you can have a long-term positive feedback, something that keeps on burning. And uh, and the metaphor of burning is really interesting. But if you could keep uh, a burning interest in aesthetics, maybe it's a positive feedback too. Yeah, I really need to delve into it. I'm stuck on the thesis right now, and I mean, I think that my main interest lies in the convergent waves thing more than on positive feedback. Uh, but it's hard to associate both things. Let me get some more water. Oh, hi. Yeah, I think there's an underlying reverence towards Schopenhauerian land, and I mean, maybe not the whole pessimistic take, although if you filter it to horrorism. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I was reading Greer's John Michael Greer's posts. The last post on Archdruid Report were on the world of will and representation, and it's actually interesting because he takes a nice swing at Schopenhauer because, I mean, he develops a whole theory and then he just throws it out the window. Oh, okay. I don't know exactly how TFA works, but okay, let me show this post. It's a shame that the Archdruid Report went down. Yeah. I guess I'm sitting back and reading the the convo here. He like cycling. Oh yeah, he's a kind of druid. Yeah, I mean that's the Landa explains it really well. I guess it's the fundamental point in if you're going to go back to a traditional way of thinking, it's cycles. You know, long waves and everything just cycle back into the same thing again, and you never unravel time into a certain specific progressive line. Every up is coupled with a down. Yeah, it's always negative feedback, and it's the basic shape of time for traditional thinking. I mean, if uh, although it's probably, I mean, it has something to it because there is a certain cyclicity, but I think sometimes it might be flattering to us because it tells modernity is at the crest of a wave that is going to crumb down. There's nothing up there again after this crumble down. So I mean, there's not a progressive amounting of complexity that's gathering up, even if we go down one more cycle of civilization or whatever. But yeah, I don't know how, because I mean, even if you take the cyber gothic line, which is that this is spiral and everything, how is that pessimistic? You know, I mean, even if you take that it compresses into a single point, like a singularity or something, how is that pessimist? I mean, I can understand the take that is, we're all going to hell and that's fine, which is a kind of pessimistic optimism. Um, oh, life suffering. Yeah, okay. But suffering is nice. That is that's okay. I mean, okay. Because I mean, I was having this conversation with mutual aid on Twitter the other day, and the whole thing about the whole transhumanist thing is about eliminating suffering, for example, or making it optional, as she was putting. The whole thing is you need to have that kind of because suffering is a kind of feedback. It's you feel pain, you draw away from that. It's a negative feedback in a certain way, and uh, it's important in its way. If you remove that, there's no evolution without this kind of suffering. So I understand how that can sound pessimistic, but it's an optimistic pessimism. Yeah, no, I have no problem with wireheading, really, because wireheading actually just defers the problem to a second level. Because I mean, if you're wireheading, what's powering the computer to which you wire to? Like, you're just deferring the whole problem, the whole economic problem. A big ass battery, like the sun, for example. Yeah, but I mean, then you actually have to turn the sun into a wire head. So you just develop the whole economic thing again, which is yeah, you can, but then you need to drink a shit ton of water, for example, or eat something. Sometimes, maybe. I mean, nobody's going to violate thermodynamics right now. Okay. I actually been reading some interesting mathematical takes on thermodynamics, and the whole shit is way more complicated than I thought, and it made me think. Remember, that if you don't practice math every day, you don't get to read it, because it simply does not make any fucking sense. Yeah, I don't like haptics. Like on uh, this new phone I bought, it has this, biometry stuff, and every time I touch it, it's like a little shocking to your hand. So I don't know. I would do without that. So what's up there, people? Everyone just digging in their heads a little bit. Yeah, I got when I went to Hong Kong. One of the things that caught my eye was the Asia Times thing, because it's printed mostly in English, and I haven't seen a real Chinese section. But I mean, most people speak Chinese there. Why it's specific for tourists? Like news for tourists. It's turning into a health thread. I was actually this morning thinking that health threads were no more, but apparently I'm proven wrong. Automated tractors, insect armies, and AI. That's China now. And okay, we talk, they do. Like we write their reality. Is that it? Life is a health threat. Is Shun talking here? The high priest of health threads? Let me see the Chinese news. Xinhua, right? Whew. I love how they play it. He stresses building elite marine force during Navy inspection. Like, we gotta be the best, guys. Very American. So, uh, anybody's got any new topics coming up? this thing has been rolling for an hour and a half already, so if you have more stuff, I can go on. Otherwise, I might wrap it up. The same glasses. This is, I don't know if this brand exists out of here. It's called Chili Beans. It's pretty good. Not very expensive and pretty good. Yeah, I've been noticing that a lot of people have the same basic face that I have. So, clones around the world. Oh, fuck. Yeah, we're delving into that again. Yeah, okay. Meta Malthusianism and ex-risk democratization. A lot of letters in those words. And yeah, I think that yeah, I don't know exactly where to approach, but I think that the thread on how communism is really interesting. I mean, it's one possibility. Anybody just gets a nuke on their hands, they're gonna try and, but playing out the transcendental games that need to be played for mutual assured destruction takes a specific amount of brain. You need to think of it, or you don't think and you blow everything to pieces. But I mean, I guess it boils down to: is there a basic instinct of self-preservation? Because I mean, you can blow stuff to pieces and blow yourself to pieces, and if you're pretty suicidal about it, I mean, you're gonna do it. So I guess it ends up being about suicide. Is suicide programmed into the human psyche, or is suicide something that people always avoid? Which, I mean, pretty obviously not true. So I think that there is that question, and then there is, of course, I mean, if you need brains to play these very, destruction of the world games, and there is and I mean, this is a big if there is a dysgenic trend towards, stupidity, for example, because I mean, you might have dysgenic trends that are not towards less intelligence. You might, for example, everyone loses the ability to walk or to lift. But it would be dysgenic in a certain sense, but it wouldn't lead to loss of intelligence. So if there is this dysgenic trend towards stupidity, then and you need that intelligence to play those games, I think that the democratization of X risk can destroy the world or something like that. But also, you need a certain amount of intelligence to build a nuke. Of course, and to keep the nuke, because I mean, the uptake of nuclear weapons is enormous. It actually takes a lot of procedures and a lot of. I mean, I don't think people get to have pocket nukes. right? I mean, I think that, for example, biological weapons are way easier to carry around and to develop and everything. So, if we're going in that direction, but I mean, if you lose the ability to produce and to keep nuclear weapons, but I don't know. I mean, a lot of the problem seems of what's going to be automated before it falls out of human capacity to do so. Okay, so two questions here. So yes, I would like to know what's BAP's opinion of China, and the other question about, yeah, I think a lot of it can be automated. I mean, if you can really automate a lot of, but I mean, I was talking about this a little before. I mean, if you actually automate the whole chain of events of these transcendental games, I mean, you already there's no more humans, man or feel involved in it. So, you know, this X risk is no longer democratized in a. I mean, there's no demos anymore which could hold the power. But yeah, what's VAP's opinion of China? If we're on to that. Chinese have always lived in houses, yes, if that's all you mean by civilization, but their history is marked by convulsions of annihilation. Just look in their history. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about the Chinese is that they actually managed to keep a pretty. Oh, there's more to the cult. Just looking in their history, the Cultural Revolution is the norm. Mass extinction of millions of faceless peasants in the name of remaking a new society. They are no hives. They ignore the dead in the street and look away. Yeah, there's two things there. The first one is, the fact that the Chinese managed to actually keep a pretty interesting record uh, of their own civilization uh, is the greatest testimony to the cycles of civilization. Because I mean, they are the Roman Empire that never ended. So there were many cycles of big empire, strong and everything, and then it falls to pieces. Many warring kingdoms, and then together again, and many over and over and over and over and over. So actually, actually a lot of their historiography is about this cycle. Is about the I Ching. It is about this specific times, right? The different times that follow each other into a cycle of civilization. Uh, so yeah. I think that revolution is the norm, yes, but great civilization is the norm too, and so I mean the norm is the cycle itself. Uh, and the other thing is that they ignore the dead in the street and look away. Is that the Chinese are very, uh, I guess, more than any other people, they know what overpopulation is, and know what that brings about. There's an actual there's an actual article at B1Z, which is about how social Darwinism made China. It's basically about, specifically, if you go to Gregory Clark, for example, it's the specific way in which, uh, uh, wealthy people had a lot of children, and their children, split the wealth, and then they became more and more poor. So it's a descending ladder of sometimes someone goes up, but very rarely, and then everybody after them, goes down the social ladder. So there's a lot of that. So the it is one thing. I mean, Chinese people, even outside. I mean, when I meet them in Brazil, like, they don't care. They don't really. I mean, if you're not pulling yourself by your own bootstraps, I'm not gonna pull you up. It's really that. I mean, their sense of solidarity is like, you help yourself, I help myself, then we're strong, and it's more or less that. I don't really know. I mean, there's something about families and everything, but I think it's less pronounced than. I mean, they have a really ethnic mark around them. Really, I mean, they, yeah. Uh, And the last bit there that the Chinese appropriate, and this is, I mean, a lot of white nationalists, or other forums that praise Western civilization. Actually, this is the most common accusation of Chinese people, that they cheat, right? They, but I think that the best definition of that is like, they game into the system. They There's definite goals, and you reach the goals. And but yeah, I mean, they're instituting this, how do you say, it's a social system. It's like a social reward system, and it's basically on facial recognition, and a lot of surveillance state stuff. But I mean, the obvious expected result of that is that they're gonna game the system entirely. Yeah, but okay. The question is, I don't know if someone is watching this and not participating in this chat, but the stuff is about BAP being a white nationalist. Yeah, the first up, it's all a joke, but uh, you know there's this stuff, because I mean, the whole white identity is kind of fuck. I mean, historically, it makes no sense, because uh, I think, I mean, it only makes sense if in this synthetic nationalism that happens in America, because you know Germans hated the guts of French since time immemorial, and both of them hated the Italians for time immemorial. So I mean, really, the white identity, to like coupling all these nations together, all these ethnicities together, is something that could only happen, I don't know, in America. Uh, and I mean, like, you're mentioning here, the steppe people, the people from the steppes, and they are not. I mean, they are the original Caucasians, so to speak. But I mean, if you I mean, if you go look at people for example, from Kazakhstan or Mongolia, they already look very different. And even Russians and Slavic people are already not so similar to Germans and people from Northern Europe. So I mean, the whole it ends up being about the color of your skin. I mean, and I mean, even if you have a say if you an albino person and you have an African ancestry and you have a white skin, it's like you're in this too. Oh yeah, the Volan stuff. Yeah, a mystical idea of race. But yeah, I think I mean the invader from the east is something that very obviously helped consolidate Europe as a collective, like Christianity or something like that. And up to this day, it still helps shaping European identity and even Western identity in a certain way. Um but I mean, a mystical idea of race, I never really got to that because I mean, the various definitions of race. This one is never. It was never pinned down. I never really what defines a mystical race, like pointy ears. The Lillsians are a human. Yeah, like sounds like a good proposition. Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of the National Socialism was about at the same time opposing what they saw as Jewish type stuff, like I don't know why early communism in Soviet Union, and also trying to oppose American capitalism and materialist stuff. So they're trying to make this third way rise there, but I don't. I mean, it depends a lot of on counterfactual narratives about Aryans descending from the steppe and dominating and everything. It played a lot of a major part in Indian nationalism, right? This outro sucks. Yeah, but yeah, fascism. I don't know if it's alien to the Anglo world, but I like the Schwun take the other day about NRX's whole anxiety of British people fearing that they will regress into a German. But yeah, I think well, um, anyway, I think yeah, the stuff about patchwork not being sane enough, it's probably there. I mean, the whole idea of hyper racism coupled with patchwork sounded like a much more daunting, more interesting task than simply lines in the sand because then every patch has its own eugenics program set to different parameters and it produces its own specific race which has a history that comes from whatever they want. They synthesize some people and the race and everything in this. So this is the up the delusion. I think delusion alley. Yeah, I was gonna say that Schmund can say that you regress into a German. Yeah, I haven't watched Black Panther yet, but the Wakanda stuff is probably interesting. So I haven't watched Black Panther, so if anyone has an opinion about that, I might watch eventually when it's on Netflix. I made a point of not going to movies. I only go to movies to watch old movies, which is a thing apparently. You know. Yeah, I mean, most movies here are in shopping malls, and so I mean, you have the usual blockbusters coming out early. There's this one called Cinemark, and it's it plays old movies every once a month. I watched The Omen last month, and it was interesting. But I mean, there is some gourmet stuff, so to speak. I mean, you can watch French movies or Iranian movies. There are some small movie theaters around here that play this kind of stuff, but it's very specific to São Paulo. It's very specific places. It's not something that's usual in Brazil. In Brazil, most of the time, if you want to go to the movies, you go into the shopping mall and you're going to watch a blockbuster. The half of the time, you're going to watch it in its dubbed versions, which people prefer apparently. No, I haven't. Cosmopolis? No. I've been meaning to watch Metropolis by Fritz Lang, but it's been a while. It's from 2012, so pretty recent. Yeah, I mean, nice. Yeah, okay. My favorite new metal album. I don't. I have actually have a very big collection of Slipknot and Linkin Park. I think that I mean the most defining of the genre is I guess is Korn's first album is. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't improve on that, but I like Materia is a very good album. from Linkin Park. It's very, it's the second wave of nu metal, so it's it's already, where they're transitioning from that, I don't know, aggro stuff and to a more poppy, you know, glossy stuff. And I don't know, but I like, for example, Iowa by Slipknot is a really great metal album. It's really angry and fast, lots of blast beats and ah. No, I actually like other stuff. I have grown out of it, but it's been basically my teens. It was, you know uh, if I take a picture of my CD collection, you're gonna get an understanding of that. But I mean, I grew up pretty mainstream, so to speak. Because I mean, what we get here that is alternative is actually the mainstream from America. So I mean, Linkin Park for me was, it was kind of huge here, but it was huge for an alternative crowd. And like Slipknot was completely niche. I mean, up until today, I know very few people that actually like Slipknot. Yeah, Freak on a Leash is a very good song. I like it. I like. I started liking Korn after, way after. I actually, the main part of my teenage years was, Linkin Park and Slipknot, both of them together. But the stuff with the bagpipes, yeah, is really really interesting. Um, no, I was just checking out that Justin Murphy just appeared in my notifications from Twitter. Uh, was thinking about inviting him over. Eh, He might have some thoughts about that. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't a meme. When I knew him, when I get to know, he wasn't a meme. I watched the process of, you know meme engineering that he dedicated himself to it. So from man to meme, yes. From man to being interviewed by Babe about a tweet on necrophilia. That was the highest moment. Top highlights of his career. Memization. That's a Yeah. I've been waiting for that. I mean, I'll wait for any talks with Lamb. There were these guys that have a show that they hosted, Murphy, recently. They translated something by Laruel. I forgot their names, and I thought they were going to make one podcast with Land too, oh, but I might be mistaken. I might be mixing it up with Justin's. Yeah, I listened to that. I mean, Land is good. The host is awful. I mean, Land. No, I listened to parts one and two, but it was really like, the guy is trying to fit the narrative about European greatness, and Land is talking about, China's gonna own all our asses, and you know don't talk too fast. It's not bound to work very well. Yeah, I mean, Land. I mean, he's such a great teacher in a way, right? He knows how to start you on specific topics and make. But yeah, it's good if you looking for NRX stuff. It's probably a good primer. I don't know. I would start, you know, like I started. Just go to Xenosystems and dig the file and the links and everything. But that's me, I guess. All time favorite best ever excess post. I think it's Hell Baked right off the top like that. I mean, it's such a compressed summary of everything. It's just like that. It starts off talking about race and it quickly derails over that into cosmic Darwinism, and uh, it's poetry. It's the taste of the words there. Yeah, I mean, if you go to if you go into open Xenosystems, which I have been doing for a while now, you're going to want to see what he put there in the new reaction tab. That tab, it's good. Go there. I mean, there's good stuff that are not there, but whatever is there, it's good. The abstract horror one, which is the it's for the geeks, I guess. I mean, if you want to actually have an understanding of the whole thing of Xenosystems, you probably should read abstract horror. But if you're there for new reaction, yeah, I mean, what is philosophy is really nice. It's really really good. The two-part series. I like the way he goes to Kant and talks about Kant and time and everything, and then right off the bat, the second part he comes with Heidegger and Nazi, and it's really interesting. Yeah, the fiction parts are really, but again, for the geeks. I like how baked because it's such a crafted piece. Even I guess he sat down and wrote there like in like 5 minutes, but that's also very compressed Nick Land for you. So and that was actually the first one I read and the first one I translated. So it's important for me in a certain way. The whole thing of Xenosystem is like you feel like going dark. Oh yeah, the the ones from when he went to Cambodia. That was the tree horror and stuff. It was really nice, and the scraps. I mean, There's one actually that's pretty deep, uh, about war, and damn, I have a whole compilation of the whole thing. So, you know, crypto kitties. If it's on a blockchain, it's worth it. I mean, by definition, it's worth it because it's not gonna get out of there by any fiat or something. So, guys, I guess I'm gonna wrap it up for today. It's been 2 hours already, and I guess I'm tired of sitting there. It was a nice ride with you all, uh, and I guess I'll eventually do that again. We've covered some nice ground. I guess this will be available for watching later if anyone feels like it. And yeah, I mean, Urbanomic is losing such a huge amount of profit from that. I mean, they need to do that. Uh, I don't have a duck mug, but I might acquire one. I'll definitely buy one. Like, anyway, for now, I'll have to do with my Guinness cup.